Welcome back to Adventures in Painting. This is the third episode of Painting Yosemite. So if you have not seen the first two, please check it out. Today we're going to be looking at a new technique of creating mountains and rocks. It's going to be done by a palette knife. So since time is getting short, let's take a look. This is what we're going to be doing on the canvas. So let me start mixing the paint and we'll start getting ready.
Go.
Okay, the first thing I'm going to do, since I have covered up the drawing of the rocks, I'm going to redraw them just so I have an idea of where to start. So this is going to be very rough. I'm going to come down here. Come down this way and come over and come here. So, here.
Do you have to put in a lot of detail?
No, not with this technique. This is what I really like about the palette knives. Okay, you can see how rough that is, but it just gives me a guidepost. Okay, now the first knife that I'm going to be using is very stiff. It helps to get the paint originally into the canvas itself. Then I'll switch to my other knife that is more flexible. So we're going to just pick up some paint on the palette knife.
What colors are you using?
Okay, the base color is going to be burnt umber, a buff color, or you could use white with some blue. All I'm looking for is just kind of a grayish, bluish color to start off with, and then I'm going to be highlighting. So we're just going to start off mixing up some paint off and this is where you do not have to stay in lines, but you do have to have a smooth edge. So,
well, you drew your mountains with what?
Charcoal.
Charcoal.
Yeah, soft charcoal, because they will erase very easily or blend right into your paint. All I'm doing right now is the edges.
Like a base coat.
This is a base coat. This is what we call the underpaint. Right. Okay, now this little ridge in the back is a little bit farther in the back. So I'm going to add just a hair more blue and a little bit more of the light color to kind of push it into the background. You want a little bit of a distinction, a little bit of lighter hue.
And what kind of paint are you using? I know it's acrylic.
This is acrylic open, so it will stay on the palette and not dry out for a much longer time. Now this particular knife has two edges, the long edge here and then a short edge. Well, this is going to be a kind of a short mountain right here, so we're just going to use the short edge and then bring that on down. You can see that it's a little grayer in tone. Now this is going to be a combination. Now there's going to be a background mountain coming right across here. With that we're going to just use a brush. But it's going to be almost just a basic layer of blue, just a hint of a brown just to tone it down a little bit.
And why do you use blue?
The farther an object is in the distance, the more blue or purple it becomes. It's just an atmospheric trick. So I'm just going to draw kind of a mountain here and fill it in. Again, this is off into the distance, and then I'm going to come back a little bit with the highlight so it has a little bit of character into it.
Where is your sun coming from?
The sun is basically going to be coming in from the right hand side. You can see where it hits the clouds more on the right hand side, and then as it goes to the left, the clouds become a little bit darker. So that's how we can tell what side the clouds are coming in from. So I'm just going to touch this up a little bit, put a little cliff right there, and then come on down. It's off into the distance, so there is no real detail. But you don't want to paint it completely smooth at the same time. Let's lighten that up a little bit. And then if I don't like it later, I can come back and modify it. This is just an underpainting, just so I know where it's at. Okay, something like that. Now we'll go back and lighten up this section here because that's way too dark. I'm switching to a finer knife. I'm using kind of a buff color, mostly because the clouds themselves are kind of an orangey, buffy color. So you just kind of scratch the surface a little bit. Again, this is just the beginning stages of it. You go different directions with your knife to create patterns in the rocks. Nothing is specific. That's about it. Okay, now let's go ahead and finish putting in some more paint over here before we go to the left side. All I'm doing is putting paint on the canvas. But at this point, this knife comes in handier than the other because I'm trying to get the paint embedded right into the pores of the canvas. And then before it all dries, we're going to highlight it. And it does eat up the paint, no question about it. So this is, I always tell people when they're doing regular painting, don't be chintzy on the paint. Well, this is even more so. Okay, trees are going to be all coming up from this point, so we need to get it flattened out. You just kind of scrub it. Well, that wraps up the part 3A of this course. Make sure you find the part B because we're going to be doing more highlighting, also finishing the right side of the painting. So I will look for you in the next section. You have a good afternoon, and I'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.